Your life has finally begun in full earnest. You're not yet quite sure how to get where you want, but you know how to walk the path. You have the tools, the wit, the skill to get there. You'll do just fine. You're still young, after all.
Okay, everyone, we are going to move into adulthood, a terrifying time in everyone's life. I wouldn't recommend being an adult, it sucks. Once again, the rules don't change. The only thing that happens is we lose a dice. We are now only rolling 3 dice, which makes the chances of failure all that more real. It's you to go first, is it? In this round?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
correct.
So we are going to have you draw from the Ace to 5 deck, and you have pulled
the 2. Okay. The prompt that I get is: a dearly beloved friend, colleague, partner, or family member dies. Who died and why does it affect you? Or a dearly beloved friend, colleague, or family member disowns you. Who are they and why did they do it? I mean, who could possibly die in this scenario?
We could finally kill off T. We tried before.
We tried. But I feel like maybe T and Q have already, they've been apart for such a long time. Would it still affect us as much? I think it would. I think it would, but then again, justice to T. I feel like they don't want to die. But what if it's our rival? What if what was her name again?
Bryony.
Bryony. What if Bryony dies under mysterious circumstances?
Now that's intriguing, isn't it? Given the very mysterious organization we appear to be working for. I'm into that. If you want to frame that up and see where that goes.
So I think the information reaches us at a very inconvenient time. I think Q is probably doing something quite important at the moment. I mean, we've gone through the cadet stage at the Exodus program. We've moved on to becoming like a full-on astronaut, and we are preparing the final steps before leaving our planet on board of the ships that are shot into the galaxy. And I think Q is probably working on something quite important, like one of the big tasks that needs to be prepared right before we leave. And then one of our fellow astronaut members or team members, crew members, comes up to us and just flat out tells us that Brainy has died, and they don't really know how it happened. It's all very mysterious. One day she was fine and she was working on electrical parts in this this area that she was banished to, and the next moment that someone saw her, she was dead. And the whole Exodus program is keeping very quiet about it. Like, all questions that are asked towards the higher members of the program get kind of flat out ignored. There's no information that reaches us. And I think Q is devastated. I think she's always had a great rival in Briony. She's had a lot of respect for her. And even though she didn't understand why Briony decided to leave the program in the way that she did, I think she's still held on to this respect that she had for them. And I think it really profoundly shakes Q to almost bringing her into an emotional state that she hadn't realized she could be put into. And I think this role will decide whether or not she can bounce back from it. I think if I succeed, I think she would stop trying to figure out what happened to Briony and just accept that death is a part of life that sometimes can't be explained very well in every circumstance. And I think if I don't succeed, she will become obsessed with trying to figure out what happened to Brienne, and it might hinder her progress in the Exodus program. It might become a big hindrance in like continuing her work. Maybe she'll fall off the program or the project that she's currently working on, and it might pose how do you say this, like a, not a risk, but almost like a how do you call this when someone is using a reason, is looking for a reason to fire you of
yeah, no,
like
I understand exactly
yeah,
what you mean.
yeah,
Like if she starts asking too many questions or
yeah,
like,
yeah.
sniffing around where she's not belong. I think it's really interesting that you've put the failure and the success the other way around. I think that's really interesting.
Because I think, I mean, the success for me would mean that she kind of pushes these questions in the back of her mind to continue working on the thing that is her life goal, so that the success would be that she can ignore all the the doubts that are creeping up in her mind.
Cold. That is so cold. I really love the way you described like her just finding out matter of fact, like someone just says, "Oh yeah, do you remember Bryony? She's dead." Like that's really harsh. So yeah, like the role is to see if you can bear what has occurred and bounce back. Only 3 dice now.
Yeah, let's see.
First roll of adulthood. Let's see how it goes.
It's a 1, a 2, and a 2.
Wow.
I think
You've got a decision to make.
I think Q needs to become obsessed with trying to find out what happened to Bryony. I think she cannot continue on her project any longer. I mean, she probably tries to, but in her mind, everything, like every thought, is just circling around the question, what happened to Bryony? Like, how can someone so determined and so young, so physically fit, just flat out die without any explanation? It can't happen. Like, someone must have done something to her, and she wants to find out.
Is there a possibility that she's thinking, if it happened to Bryony, it can happen to me?
Yes.
Or like, does she feel like because Bryony's dead, it can't happen to her because they need someone?
No, I think the first thing you said makes the most sense. I think she becomes almost like a little bit paranoid, or not like a little bit. I think she becomes full out paranoid that someone has done something to Bryony, and maybe she's next.
So my question, so we're choosing not to burn a facet, which means that this round immediately ends and we go back to the beginning.
Yes.
Of the cycle. But my question to you then is like, is Q removed from the program, or do we kind of see this play out? Should we see what happens with the next prompts, or is the failure just her becoming obsessed with the death and we don't know what happens to her yet in terms of the program?
I think that she's not fully removed from the program. I think she's been threatened to be removed, and maybe that's shaken her to her core as well, because she probably continues to try to work on this project that she's been put on, and she struggles a lot with it because every waking moment she's thinking about Bryony. So at some point, probably one of her superiors notices that her work has really fallen off in the past weeks, and they probably have a very stern talk with her and tell her to stop whatever she's doing in her free time and to really focus on this project that she's been put on. And she will probably try, but yeah, she's just struggling a lot. She can't focus. She cannot perform. Maybe she even makes a few mistakes that need to be corrected along the following weeks. And I think at the end, she's probably threatened with the removal of this project. I think that's like where I would leave this scene, is that she will probably be presented with the option: either you get your shit together and you continue working on what is important, or you're off the program.
Oh, I love that so much. That's a really good, meaty, dramatic hook to throw in there. That's amazing. So a big failure in Q's adulthood right out of the gate. We are we're starting poorly. Great to see. Okay, so I now pick from the first deck again, the Ace to 5 deck again, because we've gone back to the start of the cycle, and I have drawn the 5 of diamonds. It says, you've conquered a seemingly impossible task and become popular as a result. What reputation does it give you, and how do you feel about the limelight? Or, you've conquered a seemingly impossible task, but have made enemies in the process. Who are they, and what infamy do you hold with them? So, those are both excellent options. I think it's way too juicy for me not to say the second one. You've conquered a seemingly impossible task, but have made enemies in the process. Who are they, and what infamy do you hold with them? Like, I wonder, this is like a little bit of me twisting the prompt a little bit. And the dice roll is to see if the attention has a positive or negative effect on you. I wonder whether, is the impossible task proving that Bryony was murdered? Like, and the enemies we make being those shadowy individuals who are heavily invested in our staying on the program. Oh God, I've got a better idea. That is true, right? Let's just say that. But what if solving or proving that she was killed actually makes Q more desirable to the program? They're like, this kid is a genius because she figured out what no one else could. We need to do whatever we can to keep her on the program.
Keep her.
Like, is that too fucked up? Like,
I mean, no. But I think then they would need something to keep her there. Like they would need a very convincing argument to keep Q in the program.
What more convincing argument do you have than they threatened to kill her?
That's true.
That's true, right? So this is what's going to happen then. Like I think we're gonna see Q, who has pursued this obsessive desire to try and kind of get to the bottom of what's happened to Bryony, right? Every time she's found out a new bit of information from whoever she can speak to, she has found the whole thing more and more suspicious, and she just won't let it go. She's got that tenacity. She will not let it go, and it starts to get the attention of those shadowy figures that move in the hallways, and she sees in her observations, and she sees in little offices, like talking about things in secret. And I think that she exposes this death to one of her instructors, one of the people below those people. And I think if we succeed in this role, then we are threatened with the same fate as Bryony, and we escape the program. That's what happens, I think, if this role succeeds. If this role doesn't succeed, then we are threatened with the same fate as Bryony, and we stay in the program. So that's the negative effect, that we are forced to stay, and the positive effect is that we uncover the truth and escape. Do they work for you? Anything you want to add?
They work for me. I don't know if this makes sense, so hear me out. I would probably add another thing. So the first one, if you succeed, we escape the program after we've been threatened with the same fate as Bernie.
Yeah.
But maybe we could add that even though we escape, we have no way of proving that the organization has had their fingers into play or in the death of Brienne. And if you fail, then what you said happens, but we do have proof that the organization had something to do with it, and maybe that kind of, it kind of adds like a little negative element to the positive, like the success, and a little positive element to the failure.
I really like the idea that we've got this evidence that this has happened, and and that maybe we could use that later. Maybe that's going to come into play later. So, okay, 3 dice. Let's roll and see what happens. 1, 4, 5. So, yes. So, I think that we kind of see the tail end of this scene where Q is laying out her case to these 2 instructors who are sort of like, they don't get paid enough for this shit, right? They are like, this is like way above their pay grade, and they know not to question the authority of the Exodus program. And I think that she's been laying all this out, and we suddenly like hear this like radio static, and we realize that they're all wearing like earpieces like inside their ears, and the 2 instructors are like instructed to leave the room. And then we see a group of these kind of suited, executive looking guys all move in, very kind of intimidating, and they kind of circle Q as she stood around this desk. And I think that like she doesn't back down because she's strong, right? She's physically capable. I don't know if she'd be able to fight her way out of this. And I think that they like, one of them calmly asks her to repeat what she's found out. And because she's so strong-willed, and because she's so like fiercely independent, like she does, she says to their faces, you killed her, and like, you know, you're, or even in not in so many words, you're responsible for her death. And then I think just as calmly they explain back to her that the exact same thing will be waiting for her if she steps out of line, and that really this close to launch, she really shouldn't be sticking her nose where like it doesn't belong. But I think that in that exchange, in that scene, in that conversation that she has with these executives, I think that like one of them perhaps reveals a very, very key detail, like a place name or a person's name, or like something about a procedure that proves beyond doubt that it happened, but also like that tells her where she will find that evidence. Like maybe it was like he said something like, oh, you know, maybe, you know, if you know what's good for you, you won't go down on floor 11 or whatever. And she realizes that that's where they killed her, and she knows that there's, you know, she'll find some security footage down on floor 11 if she'll find evidence down on floor 11. I think that they tip their hand and they basically reveal to her how they did it, and then that's enough. And we don't need to see her gathering this evidence, but like that is enough for her to be convinced that she has the evidence. She feels terrified that she can and will be killed by them, but she does have that leverage that she can prove that they've done it before, and it's only going to be a matter of time before she has to escape, basically. I think that's what we're building to, isn't it? Like, anything you wanted to add to that?
I think so. What we said was that if she manages to escape, she will not have the evidence. So I feel like it depends on you whether or not you want to keep it. But I feel like maybe she knows that the evidence is there and she knows where to get it, but she doesn't physically keep it in a sense. So she'll manage to escape.
I think that works. Like I think that like she knows where to send people then in that case to find the evidence before she splits on them. So we can bear in mind story-wise that at some point in this phase of her adulthood, she is going to escape. Whether I'm not actually that interested in doing that right now, because like, I feel like she would, if she escaped now, that would draw like way too much attention to her. There's too much heat on her right now, but like she's gonna go. She's gonna get away.
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah. So cool. You are taking the next prompt from the 6 to 10 deck. You have pulled
the 8. Someone or some group is galvanized to action as a result of your decisions. Who is it, and why is there a threat to your goals and stability?
These are just too good, aren't they?
Or the next one is someone or some group have turned fanatical in their support for you. Who is it, and how does it affect how others deal with it or perceive you.
Those are both pretty interesting
Yeah,
for what we've just had.
both fit very well. I feel like so I want to pick the second one because I feel like maybe Q would try to gather others that are in her, that act in her favor, or to try to get other people basically to join her boat in a sense. Like I think she wants to spread the word. Like she wants to, even though she's very aware that this might kill her, she wants everyone to know that Brienne has been offed by this organization, and she's been threatened with the exact same fate. And she wants people to know. She wants people to get behind her. She wants people to have her back, because I think, in a sense, she still believes in the overarching goal of the Exodus program, but maybe she's convinced that it's just being led by the wrong people. And if she can gather enough strength to remove those people from their positions, then maybe the whole Exodus program can be turned around.
Yeah.
And maybe something good can still come from it. And maybe then both her and Branny's initial goal can still be fulfilled, because maybe she also believes that Brienne, I mean, she probably now understands that Brienne has learned something in the past that made her leave. I mean, she was presented with this idea when Brienne first left, but she didn't believe her, or she didn't understand maybe what she was trying to tell her. And I think now she understands, and now she probably feels like she needs to honor this almost legacy, I want to call it, that Brienne basically passed on to her, and she probably wants to fight for their common goal to still be able to achieve it. So let's see, if the result is positive, she manages to gather enough people power around her to probably get the word out that there's some shady things happening in the Exodus program. And I mean, it could even be as radical as like the people that had their hands in the death of Brienne, and the ones that threatened Q are actually removed from their posts.
Yeah.
And I think if that happens, I think Q would hold a more important position into restructuring the program a little bit, and maybe she'll actually be able to positively influence a little bit. And I think in comparison to that, if the role doesn't succeed, no one will rally behind her. And I mean, actually, maybe no. I think maybe in either way, someone, like a group of people, will rally behind her, but this will negatively impact her and probably result in her and these other people that rally behind her to be removed from the program completely, and possibly even like completely alienated.
So are we saying that in this, whatever happens in this prompt, is this when Q escapes from the program or leaves the program?
Yes.
So yeah, I suppose that fits perfectly, doesn't it, with the positive or negative? She either escapes or is forced out. And yeah, okay, cool. So yeah, get the dice on the table and let's see how we get on.
Does it really make sense if she leaves in both instances?
Oh, maybe actually not. Well, but then would she stay if there was just a restructure and she was like, okay, I'll forget about this murder?
I think she would, if she's able to really remove all the people that were involved in Brianna's murder.
Yeah, I wonder if there's like some corporate kind of like someone high up's like, we've heard your concerns. Yeah. We know there's been a murder and all those people have been removed. We're doing everything we can. Yeah, I like that a lot. And I wonder whether like, I wonder whether like she buys it to the degree that she can keep staying there, but she also knows that like this place is pretty crooked. And she has to go at some point. I think I love that no matter what happens, we're building up to this big moment of her getting away.
Yeah, but in either case, there's like a bunch of people that kind of take to her cause and that believe her, and that also maybe end up leaving the Exodus program with her at some point.
Yeah,
So,
that's good. I like that.
Okay, let's see. That's a success. So I rolled a 5. So I think, so Q manages to gather a bunch of the other, let's call them crew members, like in a broad sense, like the other members of the Exodus program that are training or not training, that are actively working as astronauts. They've all known Brainy for as long as they've known Q, and they also were quite confused when Brainy first left the program or was kind of placed in a different area. And then once Q kind of lays out all the information that she's gathered, they believe her, and they all agree that something needs to be done about it. something in the ranks of upper management needs to change, and maybe they go and protest. And in the end, exactly what you described is happening. Like some people are removed from the upper management, and they are being told that yes, they're handling the situation and everything will thoroughly be cleared, and they will not rest before the investigation into Brainy's mother is completed. And probably Q for now has seen some justice for her rival, but I mean, we both know that it's not fully convincing that the whole structure of the Exodus program has really changed.
Yeah, you spoke, we listened, we understand
Yes.
your concerns about the murder that happened. But yeah, no, I really like that, and I really like where it leaves Q now as someone who is believed and trusted, which is like the counter to where we found her in her young adulthood. So yeah, I really like that. I've now got the royal prompts. On this phase, it says, you've matured and grown capable in many ways. How have your successes exemplified why you can make great achievements, and what do you do to accomplish this? And then we roll to see if we build a level of legacy. I think that like the maturity part of it comes from, I think the final piece of that puzzle comes from gaining support from other people. As someone, Q is a very isolated figure a lot of the time, out on her own, and we saw her having to burn that advocacy in her young adulthood. And I think that it'd be really interesting to see her kind of get some of that back. Like as you become a bit older and you mature, you start to think beyond yourself a little. I think that's what maturity is for most people. Like when you're a kid, you only ever care about like what's in front of you at that time. When you get older, you start to realize that your actions have impacts on other people, and as you get older and mature, you realize that those actions can have very real consequences for people. And I think that I'd like to say that this end phase of this round is about Q taking kind of responsibility in a way of like having other people's respect and people believing her and not being jealous of her prodigious skills and of her how she excels at everything. And I think that she feels like at this stage of her adulthood, the whole Exodus program is sort of on a knife edge. And I think that something I was struggling with a little bit when you said that the upper management is removed, but she still stays in the program, is I think that she still believes that they're doing the right thing, that it doesn't matter that this is a corrupt place. The goal of the Exodus program is to get people off this earth that is dying, and she has to clear out the bad apples to restructure this thing to get it going, because ultimately her legacy is to discover new hope for mankind, right? And she has to walk on another planet and be a hero, but to do so she needs this program because there's no other way yet to get off Earth. So I think that's what this is. If we succeed here, I think that she garners a level of respect from her peers, but also some people within the Exodus program. And I think that there is perhaps a change to the way they view her. And I think that they might see her as an important symbol. Like, and if they realize that if they get rid of her or have to like do anything to displease her, then they lose the support of a lot of other people, perhaps. I think if this goes negatively, I think that happens, but I think that the Exodus program will use Q as like propaganda. They will make her a part of the propaganda machine. They will make her the star pupil who asked the right questions and did all the right things. And if you act like Q, you can succeed in the Exodus program. And she will become a symbol of this corrupt corporate ideology rather than being the thing that might bring it down. Any thoughts on those things?
No, it sounds pretty spot on.
Okay, 3 dice. Let's go. Yeah, 2, 2, and a 5. So that's fine. Yeah, I think that we see like a montage, in essence, of like the people power starting to grow amongst the cadets. They all start to get a sense of like, oh, the Exodus program needs us more than we need them, right? And like they start to realize that if they all, you know, bonded and left the program, then the Exodus ships aren't going anywhere, right? So there is this shift in power balance, I think. Now we're kind of working towards the fact that like this balance is going to be redressed in some way by those in charge. So it's not permanent, but I think that in this short period of time, we see conditions improve. We see relationships improve between people on the Exodus program and the people working for it. We see that there is an optimism there that works both ways. I think that the Exodus program cash in on that optimism, that like publicly they look like a good company who are doing the right thing by like getting rid of these bad guys who did this bad thing. But then also I think that there's a renewed belief that like actually amongst the cadets, you know, they're going to be launching soon, and they've made positive steps to change this mission. And I think that that's kind of how we reflect on that part of our life. So last round, we're back to you, and we're back to the first deck, and you have drawn
the 3. Okay. You're offered 2 choices: to stay here and grow your skills and opportunities, or to explore new lands and new possibilities. Why was this offer made, and what choice do you make? Or you're confronted with 2 choices: to focus on your intimate social circle, or to expand outward and further connect with others. Why did this become a conflict, and what choice do you make? I think I'll pick the first one.
Yep.
And so I think the way in which this would play out, what I see personally, is that the choice that we're presented with is whether or not we could stay on Earth and basically work on the Exodus program as like just, you know, an engineer with the expertise, basically. And the other one would be to actually go on the ship ourselves and become like, you know, the full-on astronaut that is on the actual spaceship. And I think why this offer was made was because of the actions we did or we took beforehand, because we have managed to really piss off everyone in Exodus by figuring out what happened to Briony, and basically gathering people behind us that all have become big skeptics of the organization, but still we've stayed and we've continued to work for them. So basically this offer was kind of like, I think it was like it was a thing of, hey, if you stay silent now, you can you can actually fulfill your legacy. You can go on the ship. You don't have you cannot say anything bad about Exodus or whatever we did in the past anymore. And then you're allowed to go on the ship, and you're allowed to travel to the next planet and hopefully save humankind. Or you can continue your shenanigans. You can continue trying to bring bad light on Exodus, and you can continue trying to rally up the troops behind you, but then you're going to stay on Earth and you can't do any of the things that you're wanting to accomplish. I think this is the choice that we're being presented with.
So are we saying then that this is the moment that Q learns the truth of what the Exodus program really is? Because they're like,
I think so.
Hey kid, we think that we want to take you with us because, you figured it out essentially.
Yes.
So yeah, I think that's really interesting. I think you described it really well. So what are the upshots and the dice roll?
Yeah, this is quite difficult. So I think if we succeed, this is the conflict. Q wants to be on that ship. She really wants to. She wants to travel to throughout the galaxy. She wants to save humankind. She knows she needs to be on that ship. But if she wants to be on the ship, she needs to quiet down. She cannot say anything critical about Exodus anymore. And she needs to accept the fact that what she's working to or towards is something that morally she actually cannot really get behind, because she's going to be one of the people on the ship and she knows that everyone else is going to be left behind, but she needs to be on that ship.
Yeah.
So I think that would be the success. We'll get on the ship, but we need to quiet down. The failure will be logically the failure would be that we won't be able to go on the ship, but we continue to kind of rally people behind us and to critique Exodus, but then we'll be left behind and we need to figure out another way to actually travel to space.
So here's my question. I think that both of those options are amazing, but are they the wrong way around? Is the success that we can't live with ourselves by going on this mission and have to try and find another way? And is the failure we go on this mission in the belief that we are the ones who can change things once we're up there? Like those people who are like, I could join the police force. I'd change things from the inside. And you're
yeah. That's a very good question. I mean, I like that. I like the idea of success doesn't necessarily need to bring us closer to our legacy in that moment, right? It doesn't have to be.
It does.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Is our, part of what drives us is we want to be a hero.
Yeah.
Would people think that we were a hero if they knew what we knew?
Yeah.
And the ultimate legacy is for us to give hope to mankind. Would people believe in us if we sold ourselves?
Yeah.
If we sold ourselves out like that.
You're right.
We said, guys, I'm up in space now. Don't worry about it. Sorry, I've just learned that all of you guys are fucked down there, and but I'll be back. I promise. I think that I really like both of those options.
Yeah.
And the conflict they present, but I just think they need to be flipped around. I think success is staying and failure is leaving. Because failure is still very interesting, because it still gives us scope to be wow, we've made a huge mistake and we need to fix it. But...
No, I agree with you. I think we should play it that way.
Okay.
So let's see. 3 dice. I got 2 5s, so that's a success. We stay.
We do the right thing. I think maybe the interesting thing here is because we've kind of established what happens, but how do we see that happen? How what does that look like? That moment of realization and the action that Q takes.
I mean, obviously, it will be in some big office of someone very, very, very important for the whole program. Maybe even the shady person in the background, the one that was responsible for the removal of Brittany and then later her demise. I think Hugh's being called into the office, and I think she's being confronted with how her actions have really harmed the Exodus program, how she's I mean, I think this ominous person will probably tell her that she's always been the one that was meant to drive this program even further, and that she's massively disappointed them, and that with her actions, with the recent rally, with the trying to uncover what happened to Brittany, she's proven that she's actually not the right person. She was actually not the one. Like, she's basically disproven all the beliefs in her, and she's not worth going onto this ship, this actual like space ship, to go to the next stage of the Exodus program, if she continues like she does. But if she stays quiet, if she manages to calm all the people that have rallied behind her, and if she manages to prove that actually she is the person that she pretended to be all throughout the academy, the cadet phase of her life, then she'll be allowed to go onto the ship. And I think this person is trying to almost like, yeah, persuade her into giving up her moral, her moral grounds, her beliefs. And obviously they're trying to quiet her, but they're also trying to manipulate her. And I think in this moment, Q will realize that if she decides to keep herself, like, if she decides to keep quiet, if she decides to stop rebelling against Exodus, she'll betray everything that she's like worked towards this far. Like, she'll betray her legacy, she'll betray everything that she's believed in, and she'll finally, of course, also betray Bryony and T, like the two people that were very important in her life. And I think at this point she will probably decide to leave Exodus and to completely leave this program behind her and try to figure out if there's any way to inform all of humanity about what this program actually is, like what their actual goals are, and if there's still time to still time to stop them somehow.
I think that's a very big moment to take us into the next draw. Amazing. I thought that was great. Right, I've got the next card I'm going to pull from the middle deck. It is the 10 of Diamonds. 10 of Diamonds says, you are overcome with nostalgia for easier days and easier times. What memory holds you in its grip, and what destructive impulse do you deal with as a result? Or you are overcome with impatience for better days and better times. What idea holds you in its grip, and what destructive impulse do you deal with as a result? Roll dice to see if you resist. Oh, I think this is like, we see Q return home, and I think we see her return home with like this big, under a cloud. She's left this program this prestigious program that she'd been selected for, that she was supposedly like a special like talent, that she was supposed to be, here to help mankind. And I think that like she has to deal with this kind of betrayal when she goes home of this small community that she's from, where like everyone was sort of believing in her and relying on her to do something. They don't know all these like behind the scenes things that have happened. These are all been kept kind of like quiet by the Exodus. And I think this is the moment we've been building to. Like, I think this is, after this happens, this is when the ships leave. I think this is when the launch happens, and everyone around the world realizes that they have been betrayed, and thousands of people are leaving Earth, and that is it and there are billions of people on Earth, and all of these secrets that have been harbored in the Exodus program all come spilling out, because like, why would it matter to them now? They're gone, they're safe, like they don't need the people on Earth anymore. And I think that that is what in a way Q wants. They want to return to like a simpler time where they didn't have all that responsibility and the weight of the pressure of like expectation on her. But at the same time, I think this destructive impulse that they deal with is, I think that they have to resist the pull to isolate themselves, because they could just go off and, you know, go back to their life and just wait out their time on Earth and die with everyone else now they've been abandoned. Or like, is you know, she's going to be needed as this new hope to offer some kind of like glimmer of a chance to humanity. And I think that her isolating herself and, you know, being stubborn and like digging her heels in and not wanting to be involved because she's been burned by the Exodus program will see her like hard to reach by everyone else. So I think that's what's going to happen. She needs to resist the pull of being selfish and saying "I told you so" to everyone and not engaging, whilst everyone else on Earth, especially in her community, needs her. So I think that if I succeed in this role, she's gonna have a tantrum and she's gonna have like, you know, some time where she's gonna be angry. She's gonna be, you know, dealing with a lot of questions from people, but then she will step up and be like, okay, well, we better come up with a solution. And if I fail this role, I think that it's going to be a much harder sell to get her to come back. And I think that when we find her in maturity, which is the next phase, she is going to be slightly more difficult to reach, and it's going to be harder to convince her to help. What do you think about those stakes?
I think they're very fitting. Yeah, go for it. 3
dice. I believe in us. Oh, 1, 2, and 5. So that is a success. We overcome that resistance to helping. I think that we see her perhaps go back to the diving, going back to like the cove where she used to dive and go down to those depths that she used to go and do those things that like she hasn't done in maybe a couple of years because she's been in this program for so long. And when she's down there, like on the ocean floor, like there's this complete silence, the absence of sound. And even though she's under great pressure in terms of the weight of water on top of her, she feels like carefree and she has no worries in her life because there's no one else down her except the odd lobster that could cause any issues. She's down on the ocean floor fixing something that needs fixing, and it's just a lot simpler. And she thinks, well, you know, life can't be that bad if we all just do this. We all play our small part. And, you know, it's our fault that the world is dying. It's not just those billionaires. Everyone played a part. And then as she kind of comes out of the water and returns to her community and sees the faces of people who believed in her and still do believe in her, like she sees the gross injustice of it all. And yes, everyone contributed to the environmental crisis, but like you had no choice. All your choices were removed by the structures that you were trapped in by those in power and those who had wealth. And I think that like because this is such a long space journey, you can still see like the shuttles in the air for like weeks afterwards. You can still see them on this journey, their fuel tanks blazing, and like, you know, through telescopes and stuff you can still see them. And like that just radicalizes her. She sees her community, she thinks about Bryony, she thinks about everyone in the Exodus program, and like she knows what the right thing to do is, and she knows that everyone's got to get off this planet, and she's better placed than anyone to do so. And when she's asked, or when people are putting together some sort of solution to this problem, she knows deep down that she has to be a part of it. So we come to the final role of this. We have not done particularly well in our adulthood. This is our last chance to mark legacy. Or did we mark legacy before? Yeah, we did. So this is our last chance to mark legacy. We're at 3 out of 8, so we could be... No pressure, Kash, but if you if you fuck this, then we're in real trouble for our later years. So talk us through the royal prompt again.
I will. So the royal prompt reads, "You've matured and grown capable in many ways. How have your successes exemplified why you can make great achievements? What do you do to accomplish this?" And yes, I agree with the prompt. We have matured and grown capable in many ways. We've left the Exodus program because we stayed true to our moral beliefs. And we've now been presented with the terrible fate of humanity. We've been left behind by...
Again, no pressure.
Yes. And yeah, we've been left behind to fend for ourselves, to try to get off this planet. We have to figure out a way to save humanity. And yeah, all this pressure is on Q's shoulders. At least that's what she believes. But I think she's also... she's more confident than ever because she's stayed true to herself. And I think she knows that she has gained a lot of skills and a lot of education in order to figure this out. Like, I know she knows that she knows how to rally people behind her. She knows that she's very strong in her beliefs, like in her set of ideas, basically, or her moral ideas. And she knows that she's capable to figure something out. And I think so this is my idea. You can, of course, throw everything over. But I think Q will have one singular goal, and it will probably be something like, I need to develop my own type of Exodus program, no matter what it means, but I need to figure something out in order to save humanity, because that is my overarching goal, and it's been my overarching goal all along my life. And I think, connecting to what you said before, the idea comes to her on one of the deep sea dives, because she's been she's been back in her community. She's been very connected with this old art form of deep sea diving that she's known all her life. She's trained in. She's basically been born into this role as a deep sea diver, and she only moved to become an astronaut because she had this very specific skill set. And I think on one of the dives that she does, she will find another one of those seashells that that she owns, and the ones that kind of hold like almost like a symbolic understanding in our culture. And I think we said when we talked about it that these type of seashells are so seldom, and of like I think we said it was like a creature that was extinct, but now that we find it, we have like almost like not an idea, but we have this notion of what if this extinct creature is not actually as extinct as we think it to be? What if there is like, what if this is like
a symbol of hope, didn't we? Which is like, it's perfect, it works. I love that
exactly.
So much.
And I think maybe with finding the seashell, the idea or the thought of what if a possible new hope has been right in front of me since the beginning of time, like since I've been born into this community. What if humanity can make a home here in this deep, dark ocean that has been previously only been inhabited by fish and snails and lobsters? And I think Q will have this idea, like this very, very general idea of what if humanity can make a home in the ocean, like on the deep ground of the ocean. And I think that's the only thing that she will think about now. She will almost become like obsessed with the idea of, is there a way that we can move like all of mankind to the ocean. That
So that's very interesting with what our legacy is. Like, so if our legacy is, find a new hope for humanity, that's really interesting. But when I was a kid, I've always wanted to be on another planet. Are we saying that, like, it's really like the planet that's been under our feet all along?
Maybe.
Now that's fascinating. I think that's incredibly interesting. So tell us what success and failure means then in this instance.
So, I think no matter what happens, she will work on this like broad idea, like the broad idea of, is there a possible way to move humanity in a secure living arrangement in the ocean? And I think success would be that she has like a very distinct idea of what that could mean, like bringing it into a very like let's say objective way of phrasing it. Maybe she has like a set of ideas on how you could actually populate an area in the ocean. Like you could build these like almost like dome-like structures that are filled with breathable air and that kind of use the resources around them in the ocean to actually like clean the environment that they're built in, like to almost kind of remove the pollution from the ocean while humanity is living safely within the ocean. Like maybe she has like a very distinct idea, and maybe failure, like, so that's what I think the success would be. And maybe failure would mean that she only has this broad idea of wanting to move humanity into the ocean, but she doesn't know how to achieve it. So she has to figure it out within the next years or so before everything collapses.
That idea of like, if she doesn't figure it out, she's gonna sound fucking crazy, and she's gonna have to convince everyone else on Earth that, like, guys, we need to go into the sea.
Yeah, I swear it's possible.
Yeah, trust me, bro. Yeah. We're gonna live on the ocean floor. I think that is a fantastic twist to this tale, and I think that, like, I really love how you brought it back to like what she's all about. And let's unless you got anything else, I'm super fascinated to see how the role comes out.
I think it's pretty, we've got something. All right, 3 dice. Let's see what happens. I rolled 1 6 and 2 2s, so it's a success. She has a very specific idea. She like comes up with all the plans. She even draws the architecture herself, maybe with the help of some of her ex-cadet friends, the ones that rallied behind her when she first tried to unravel the mystery behind Brianny's death. And I think she knows she has like the right connections. Like there were probably some other members of Exodus that were kind of left behind after she left, because there were people behind her that supported her during those days. And I think she comes up with a very detailed plan on how to build a society underwater, basically. But it's still a massive like project. It's still something that will take years to build. It's still a lot of resources. She knows it's not going to be an easy task, but she knows that it has to be possible. Like, she knows that if she can get enough people to work on this very specific idea that she has, it will be possible to move people on the ocean floor.
I think that there's something that I really like about the idea that maybe while she was in Exodus, she saw the amount of incredible work that was being done to like make these spaces in like the far reaches of the galaxy habitable. And then she kind of twigged and was like, well, hang on, if that will work on like a dusty planet with no breathable air, like, wouldn't that just work underwater? And like, you know, we are we've got a world where it's getting hotter, sea levels are rising, there's more water than there is land. Like, you know, I think we said in the character creation part of it, that's like, you know, it's a hostile world to live. You can't grow crops because, you know, it's too hot, and like that's where she's felt comfortable, and she just had this eureka moment of like,
Yeah.
oh wow, like it was here all along. And the problems that we've got coming up to deal with in our next 2 life phases, I mean, just logically of making this work are difficult, and I'm really excited to solve those problems. But like, I absolutely love that you've phrased it that she's sort of like, oh, okay, they've gone now. We are holding the baby, and like it's crying and the world is dying, and I've got an idea. And it might seem a little odd, but like, why not use the resource on Earth that we have the most of? And I think that's a really fascinating thing. So we've reached the end of a life stage. We've marked a stage of legacy. So
yes, I'll mark it.
We're up to 4 out of 8 legacy, which is, wow, we're flying through this now. Don't even worry about it, everyone. But we've got some questions to reflect on at the end of this life phase. This life stage is, how have I changed and grown? How did the world around me react to my actions? And how has this life stage strengthened my resolve to achieve my rightful legacy? I'll start, and I think that like just the world around me reacting to, you know, the actions that Q has taken, I think that we start to see and feel that her notion of what being a hero and her notion of what another planet means to her. And like, for years, and ever since she was a kid, the answers to those questions, like, how can I be a hero? I want to like set foot on another planet. Like, those things have been set in her mind, and those answers have been among the stars. And now she's seen the truth of it and realized that like the way that she will be seen as a hero is solving the problems, not running away from them and not doing what all of those other people will do. She will not go down in history as the person who didn't try every last thing they could on Earth to ensure the survival of humanity. How do you feel about some of those questions we've got to reflect on?
So first of all, I really like what you just said, because it really ties up very nicely to her actual origin, like where she's come from. Like, she's, you know, it's been there all along. The answers, yeah, the answers to all her questions have been there right in front of her. Yeah, so I think, how did the world around me change because of my actions? How has this life stage strengthened my resolve to achieve my legacy? I think the world around her obviously changed, because, I mean, the biggest part she played in it is that everyone on Earth has understood that Exodus is not a program to actually save humanity. It was a program to save the very special members of humanity that had the financial means to be placed on those ships, and the very few ones that were picked out of a crowd, a very gifted crowd. So I think, the world around her has changed. I mean, technically, it's not really changed. It's only been confronted with the awful, awful reveal that, no one gave a shit about the rest of humanity. Everyone was just kind of looking out for themselves. But at least they've come to understand that there are still people trying to do the right thing, the good thing, and maybe Q has also gained a sense of, or not a sense, but like maybe a certain level of fame for having left Exodus, and maybe she's a very respected member, probably in her community, but maybe also out, like on the, not outsides, but like outside of her community. Maybe people also have heard her name and know who she is and why she's decided to leave Exodus, and maybe she's also gone public with all the information that she had gathered. So I think the world definitely has gained an understanding of what Exodus was, and maybe also like what is who Q is, and what she stands for.
I think as well, like, just as you were talking there, I was thinking I think that probably there is a portion of the world as well that reacts quite badly to this, that like, you know, fall into like open rebellion, like, you know, because some people will completely lose hope that, you know, that was our best chance and we've been betrayed. And I think that that sets us up really nicely for when we move into the next phases of Q's life, is that she has to get the world on her side, and that is no easy task. And, you know, when you are heading to oblivion, do you believe the crazy lady with a couple of crab shells? That's like, this is a sign, everyone. So we are going to leave Q's story here, and we will return next week with the maturity stage, and probably the end stages as well of her story and her life. Kash, once again, thank you so much. This has been loads of fun. I've really enjoyed this. And we will see everyone next week. Goodbye.